everybody. Uneducated Economist here. We got a rainy afternoon here on the Oregon coast. Pretty typical, really. Gotta love the rain. So today we're going to be talking about how your only chance of making it in today's economy is to have a side hustle. And I know that's going to be very discouraging for a lot of people out there as they are looking for a better environment to work in so that their daily jobs, their daily activities is going to be sufficient for meeting what it is that they feel is an appropriate standard of living for them. Now, for most of us who follow the economy and study macroeconomics, we get it. We understand why it is that a lot of people are suffering in pain and misery, and it's generally because of their own bad choices when it comes to taking out debt for pleasurable experiences, living a higher standard of living, or just not really pursuing that of what it is would be a higher income or more income. And generally, they want to blame politicians or something else out there for their lack of creativity or ambition or desire to go out there and earn more, because in order to have a better lifestyle as far as ease with that lifestyle, you have to earn more or require less. And as most people try to bring in a higher standard of living, meaning they want to drive a nicer car or live in a better house or wear nicer clothes, this is not requiring less, this is requiring more. And if you require more, then you need to require more income. And this is, again, pretty obvious to a lot of people out there, but when you think about it, not too many people take it into consideration. Like, very few people do. If you earn more money, you want to go out there and buy a nicer car. In fact, I was just watching an old TV show. What was it? The Connors. It was like the sequel to the Roseanne show. Anyway, in there, one of the characters had got a new job, and with their new job, the choice came down to whether or not the couple should buy a house or if she could go out and buy a new car, a new truck. And ultimately, her desire for a new truck overwhelmed the idea of buying a house. And they went down and bought the new truck. And I thought to myself, man, did the car companies like pay to have this written into the script? Or is this general feelings of most people out there when it comes to earning more new money? You know, like, you get a higher pay. What ends up happening with that? You want to go and buy something nice with it. You finally achieve that thing in your life that you were shooting for or working for so that you could have this ultimate goal or whatever it is. And generally that's like a pleasurable experience, a luxurious item, you know, a new car, new truck, you know, fancy vacation, something of that nature. Now, when I think about how it is that I had positioned myself up until I was about 40 years old, that was very much the lifestyle. If I earned a lot of money, I would spend a lot of money. I would go out more, I would travel more, I would buy things that really weren't necessities in my life, but more of like toys or something of that nature. And then I wonder why it is that it was so difficult. I wonder why, right? So now as time goes on and I changed my mindset, I have now pushed my expenses as low as possible, right? I mean, I have a fairly decent house payment that I have to make, but outside of that, I don't drive new cars or I don't have, you know, fancy things in my life or anything like that. I mean, I just have this, you know, modest home in a fairly expensive area to be in as far as the country goes. But outside of that, everything else I try to keep very low expenses. And then on top of that, I have a day job and I work YouTube and I work a side hustle and I try to do as many things, no matter how insignificant it seems. I try to do as many different things to bring in different forms of revenue as from any direction I can get. And I don't really think about how much it is, just whether or not I can get it to flow in my direction. You know, it's not like I'm making millions of dollars doing YouTube every single month or year or something like that, but I do fairly okay with it. And it doesn't stop me from trying to pursue other forms of revenue, no matter how insignificant they are. As most people who achieve a certain income, they don't pursue more of it. They're like, well, this is a lot, or it's at least a lot in their mind. But then again, Is it a lot or is it enough, as most Americans are complaining that they don't have enough? So again, I think, well, what is enough? Like, have you gone to work for 8 hours enough mentality? Like, is that it? Is 8 hours is enough and it shouldn't be any more or less than that, and not dedicating any more or less than 8 hours to the ultimate goal? And I think to myself, why is it limited to this 8 hour mindset? Like, to me, 8 hours is a portion of the day in which that I could be making money. The day could be making money 24/7. Never a time in my life where I'm not in the pursuit of making money. Now, again, I'm not in the idea of you have to do this 100% all the time and never do anything else but look for chase money. Like, that is probably going to end up being a very painful, exhausting experience for you. But to position yourself in a way that money flows to you consistently, maybe not inconsistent in amount, but consistent in time, it's always coming. And then you can increase or decrease that on your efforts. See, now this is the mindset that I have. I never am in a time in which that I think, don't pursue money right now. Like, that's not ever in my mind. My mind is always in the idea, is there an opportunity to pursue money somewhere, somehow? Right? And by doing that, it's given me the ability to have different channels of revenue that comes in. When you have different forms of revenue that comes in, well, then you can put effort towards particular areas when you feel necessity needs to be provided in those particular areas in order to increase that revenue. It seems like a game. Actually, it's kind of fun. It's not discouraging. It's exciting. Okay? And as most people think of their 9-to-5 job as discouraging and not paying enough, and that there's politicians out there who can change the way that the environment looks in order for their 8-hour job to then be happy and encouraging and wonderful experience for them to be satisfied with their life, I don't know how it is that that sort of fantasy can manifest itself into your reality, but if you want to pursue that, go for it, man. I got better ideas on what it is that I know I need to do, no matter how small and insignificant it may seem to other people. I know it's very successful in my life. Right? Because the mindset that has switched from being, this is a horrible world that's causing me to be in debt, my mindset now is there's all kinds of opportunities and abundance and availability to me for me to do things. I don't look at the world as like limited. I look at the world as abundant, full of opportunities in every direction I see. Yeah. The hard part is being motivated to actually pursue them, but to see it is not difficult. However, most people can't even see it. And if you can't see it, there's no way you're going to get it. Right? I mean, I guess you could accidentally stumble upon, some sort of great wealth not doing anything, but I mean, I think that's a very, very poor choice of action to take, as far as if you want something decent in your life is to just sit there and wait for it to come to you. I mean, I guess for some people it might work. I don't know. To me, that isn't really the way to go about it. Like, to go about it means you have to be helpful and useful in this world, and by being helpful and useful in the world, then the world wants to provide you with, a reward for doing that. And so it makes it easy to pursue that of what it is that is going to be helpful and useful to other people, in the idea that by doing that, you are going to be in a flow of money that comes back to you. Now you need to do something with that, right? If you go and you dump that money into pleasurable experiences, or you go and consume a bunch of alcohol or drugs, or just blow it away on, whatever toys that are not really going to benefit you in any kind of way, but just kind of give you some short-term stimulus effect, well, then you're probably going to end up suffering some pain from that. So no matter how much money you make, it doesn't really matter if you're just turning around and blasting that into worthlessness. See, it never really mattered how much money you made. It doesn't matter how much money. It really doesn't matter how much money you make. It's about how much money you can save. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, a guy who makes $100,000 a year but spends 110 is suffering. Right? I mean, they might have this appearance of this luxurious experience, driving a new car and traveling and doing whatever, but they're suffering. They can't get themselves ahead. They are sinking every single month with their lifestyle and what it is that they have going on. Where another guy who's making $50,000 a month, who might have a very low monthly living expense, or a guy making $50,000 a year, Spending $30,000 a year to live, saving $20,000 a year is by far doing way better than the guy who's making $100,000 a year spending 110. Right? I mean, the appearance may not look that way. One guy probably driving an older vehicle, doesn't have that great experience as far as like, showing it off on Facebook as far as all the places that they're traveling to and doing. That guy might not have it, but his life may be a whole lot easier to maintain and deal with. We have no idea how much money he has saved in the bank. We don't have any idea on what random bill would be just super easy for that person to pay. Whereas the person who's making $100,000 a year but spending 110, a $400 extra bill might be a nightmare for them. Right? It's all about how you positioned yourself for it. And to think that there's a politician out there who can come up and say, hey man, let me wave this magic wand and come up with a way that everybody is going to be super happy and stoked about what it is that's going on. That ain't happen. Right? So once you give that up and you start pursuing what it is that you need in your life, and you start pursuing it in a way that is like fun, right? I mean, it's work. It's a lot of work going out there trying to start a business and to maintain that business, to maintain, if you have employees, to try and, maintain payroll and, an experience for them that says that they are encouraged to keep going within your business and have the best interests of your business in mind. These things are difficult, right? Even coming up with a concept to get started. To say, man, I don't even know what it is that I have for a skill to make money with. I just don't know. I'm 18 years old. I just graduated high school. I have no idea what's going on out there. It's difficult to think about being useful somehow, somewhere, right? If you have a day job and you're 18 years old and you're trying to figure out how it is that you can be useful in this world, try volunteering. Try volunteering with no expectations of being rewarded in any other way than your efforts of volunteering and being rewarded for that. You put yourself in that mindset of being useful to the world with no expectations of being compensated for it, I guarantee you your mindset will lead you in the right direction. Right? It may be difficult at first. You may not recognize why. It may not feel like you're being rewarded. I guarantee you that will come back to you many times fold. But it's hard to do it at first. It's hard to say, yeah, I'm going to volunteer my time knowing that I am already suffering a painful experience with not having enough in my life, but I'm going to give a little bit more with no expectations from it. I guarantee you will get rewarded for that. And it won't happen right away. It may not. It could. I mean, maybe it will. But most likely you will not be rewarded for that for right away. It will take time. But it will come back. All right, let's read through some of these comments. Justin, that's a good idea. Mr. Balloon Pimp, great to see you up in here. Jesus, should be done every other day. Volunteering is a better education than university. Yeah, absolutely it is. And I never really quite understood it until I did some myself, right? And there was a time when I was doing a lot more than I am now, and I should probably get back into doing some more volunteering. But the experience that you get from it is incredibly rewarding, knowing that you're doing it for no real monetary or some sort of physical item gain or anything like that. It's just literally the experience that you get from it is the reward itself, and it's so rewarding, right? Trading stock options is the most difficult high reward side hustle. Yeah. All right, Mr. Balloon Pimp, when you think about it, the side hustle today was the odd jobs of the moonlighting that many did in the 1950s through 70s. We have always had to think out of the box to gain wealth. Yeah, and you really think about, thank you, Mr. Balloon Pimp, I really appreciate it. And when you really think about it, if you have a day job and you don't have a side hustle, and you look at everybody else that you're working with, if they don't have a side hustle either, you're in competition with them. That means the apartment, the car, the groceries, everything. You're in competition with these people right here. So now think about it like being in the camp, right? When the bear comes into the camp, you don't have to be the fastest one. You just have to be faster than the slowest person, right? Because the bear is going to go after the slowest person. And that's somewhat of the same mentality to be in. If you are all working the same job, nobody's doing a side hustle, you're all essentially going at the same speed. So the chances of the bear taking any one of you out, right, is pretty much equal. But if you're working a side hustle, well, now you're way faster than everybody else you're working with. Now you have options to the apartment, you have options to the car, you have options to take, to go and travel around, to go do whatever it is that you want to do, because you have the extra money. It's not extra money, it's just more money that you work for, while everybody else is bitching about how it is that the bills are so expensive. They talk about how groceries are too expensive, how it's the politicians' fault, how it's Biden's fault, how it's Trump's fault. They blame all these other people for their lacking in their life. And then I think to myself, well, you're in abundance in time. You ever thought about maybe using your time for something that would be more abundant in your life? Other than sitting around watching sports, playing video games, smoking weed, getting drunk? I mean, I know that's what I used to do, and then I wondered why my life was so deteriorated. I blamed it on the New World Order. I wonder if it was them or if it was me. I mean, because I really wanted to blame them. I was really good at it too. You got to understand, I was so good at blaming them. Like, I could babble on for an hour and convince you why it was somebody else's fault that my life sucked. All right. In a perfect world, the group of people would all team up against the bear. Well, in a perfect world, that would be it. But you'd think that while all the people are grouping up to fight the bear, one person would be bailing out. I mean, this is survival of the fittest out here. You might find that the group of people, after that one person bailed out, are like, oh, hey, man, half of us died, and we're going to blame you and come and pick on you or whatever. But that person who bailed out went and grabbed a bunch of supplies and survival things, and, they got the abundance because you were over there fighting the bear, being a good patriot. While somebody else was over there hoarding it all for themselves. And now we look to them and we're like, oh man, can you please give us some? Since we fought this bear so hard. Right? I mean, which one of you are going to be? Are you going to go, go be the good patriot, man. Go in there and fight that bear. Team up with everybody else. And then watch while somebody else goes and hoards it all for themselves. And then you go and beg for a little bit of it. Right? Is that the life that we live here? Is that the case? Is that the system? I mean, I guess we can participate in that. I know. Every single male in my family joined the military. Everyone. And some of the females did too. I'm the only one who didn't join. By the time I got out of my household, I was on my own. I felt like I got out of the military for the first time. Isn't that weird? So much military family and men and careers and all that all around me. And this is the view that I ended up with. Huh. Wonder why. Let's see here. What should I do for a side hustle? I make $100K, but it's not enough. Wow, 100K isn't enough? Well, why don't you... I mean, 100K is a lot, so you must be living in San Francisco or something where it's stupid expensive, right? Because I live in one of the most expensive areas in the entire country, and if you make 100K, you could probably make it, right? I mean, I know how much I make to live in a house and raise kids and have all the stuff in here, and it's difficult. I look out there, I wonder how it is that other people can make it around here. It's very difficult for me, but it's still a possibility. So you must have high expenses, right? Or live in an expensive area. Or you just want too much in your life, right? Earn more or require less. So you want more in your life, so you're going to have to earn more. Well, what can you do for a side hustle? There's plenty of side hustles. I mean... I caught an Uber the other day. There was a guy doing a side, maybe it was his main gig, but that could have been a side hustle. There's ways of making money online doing affiliate sales. You could start the YouTube channel and try and make ad revenue off of it or get sponsorships. There's all kinds of ways of making money out there. I mean, you get creative. I don't know what your skills are. I got a picnic table I built right over there. I don't know. Do you have any craftsman skills? I mean, you could probably sell that picnic table for $250 and make $100. Maybe $100 off of it. Take you maybe a couple hours to put it together, cut it up and put it all together. So, it's like $50 an hour, maybe a little less, 3 hours to put it all together. then you got to sell it and you got to transport it or do whatever, maybe charge an extra $50 to deliver it. I mean, these are my ideas. I don't know what your ideas are. All right. There's card counting you can pursue. Just sit there and count. All right. Sure. Friend advocating those ideas can be misunderstood as thinking people should stick together. Those people are buddies. I'm with you. I mean, if you were going to get with your buddies and start a business, if you want to consider that tackling the bear, hey, go for it, man. I mean, I think, partnership up on a business is probably one of the best, fastest, easiest ways to combine energies to make something bigger and more grand happen. The synergies, right, that come from that. That's not what I was talking about. I'm talking about people being the good American and, don't be greedy and be helpful and be useful to everybody around there while the rich elitists take and just rake us over the coals and separate themselves from us even more. That's the stuff that I'm talking about. Like, I'm tired of that. And I'm not tired of it. I was tired of that. I've overcome the I don't even know how to put it, like the hatred or something. Like, I don't have any hatred. I don't have any hate for anything out there. There is no hate. Hate is a negative energy that will then put you in a survival mode that will most likely mean that things are going to be distant and hard to achieve. You can't, if you live in hate, that's where the suffering is, right? Don't live in hate, I mean, live in understanding. This is just the way it is. And it sucks for a lot of people out there, especially those who are really misunderstanding and suffering the consequences of it. I knew a girl one time, she was kind of hippie chick. She was really nice. I liked her. She says, money's not that important to me. And I'm like, God, don't say it. Don't say it out loud. Right? I mean, you might have a feeling that money's not that important to me, and I kind of agree somewhat, right? In the sense that I don't have this fancy idea of driving, beautiful, luxurious cars or flying in jets and stuff. And for a lot of people, that's money. That's not to me. Money is abundant. It flies everywhere. It's all over the place, and I don't have my concerns about trying to get it. When somebody says money's not that important to me, it means that they don't want it in their life. Well, if you don't want it in your life and it's not important to you, then it won't be there. Right? Money's super important, but it's not important of the pursuing of money or having the money. Money is important in the sense that I need it to do transactions. And if I have an abundance to do transactions, okay, I'm there. Right? What else do you need? Like, I need to have some number that's super, huge so I can look at it and say, look how big this number is. I don't, to me, that's a ridiculous idea. Like, that doesn't feel anything like what it is that I should be doing. But when you say, no, I have enough money to pay that bill or any other bill, that's I mean, I don't know what the number should be or whatever it is, but I have a number that says I can pay any bill I want at any given time. Well, that's pretty cool too, right? I mean, so yeah, it's super important. But when I hear people say that it's not that important, well, then yeah, it's not. You're right. It's not that important to you, and therefore, it's going to run from you. It's not going to be there when you need it, because it was never important to you to begin with. Okay? And so this is where the difficult time comes in for a lot of people out there who are suffering with not a lot in their life, because then they have this excuse. They make up the self-justification that says, oh, it's not that important to me anyway. I'm happy with having nothing. Well, okay, continue to lie to yourself. Right? Maybe you are super happy to be having nothing, right? But when you bitch about not having enough and then say I'm super happy with having nothing, then yeah, you're lying to yourself. Quit doing that, right? There ain't nobody believes you anyway, so I don't know why you would want to lie to yourself. When you stop kidding yourself, when you stop lying to yourself, then you get a reflection from the world that's exactly that. You get a truthful experience, a meaningful experience. And because you know that there is an abundance of it out there for somewhere, somehow, some way, you can do it too. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, hey, let's get the motivational speech going and all that other stuff. No, right? That's not it at all. What it comes down to is you have to be in a mindset that says, yes, I can pursue this, and I am pursuing it, and it is coming back to me. It's going to come back to me and all that I need because I'm doing useful, helpful things. right? That's an easy way to look at it too, right? And most of us will never do it. We will instead rather work 8 hours, bust our ass, end the day at 8 hours, and say, now it's somebody else's responsibility for me to have a better life. Who do I vote for to make that happen? All right? You will suffer forever. I don't care how much money you make. All right? All right. Let's see here. GMA, I hope you catch that. Mine is because I'm a shallow person, but to be fair, have you seen a dating scene and character of women in the West? Yeah. Ain't nothing but beautiful women out here that I absolutely love and adore in every way. But you're right, there is a hard dating scene that's taken place out there. Now, I don't know what the conversation that you all had, but I see it out there pretty regularly. And really, I think that the major issue that most men are facing is that there is a lack of masculine behavior, because they have been raised with the belief that it's a toxic trait, and not knowing that the true instinctual desires of what it is that the feminine really wants in their life is true masculine behavior. And since most guys don't know that that masculine behavior is being characterized as a toxic trait is actually the reality of what is desired. Right? Now, I'm not saying that there isn't toxic behavior that takes place out there, but most men try to avoid it in every way instead of embracing what it is that they are truly desiring within their life and how they truly know that they should be behaving. When you start doing that, I guarantee you the women line. They want that in their life. They want to be in feminine energy. They want a masculine energy. It's just the divine feminine and the divine masculine coming together. It's just like North and South Pole, the left and right. It's all a balance. And if you are in the neutral position, that is not where the feminine wants to be. The feminine doesn't want to be in a neutral. Right? And this is the problem that we now face, is because society has basically told men, don't be men. Don't behave like a man. And that's sad. Right? And it's sad because every time that somebody steps up and starts behaving like a man, they get beaten down. And they're told that's inappropriate or inaccurate. And then stuff comes up that says, well, the women nowadays just don't behave right or whatever. It's just like, no, it's not up to them. Right? It's up to us as men to be men so that they can be women. But if we're trying to be neutral, they ain't going to appreciate it, they ain't going to like it. And that's the unfortunateness of what we now face in today. In just about every way. It's not just in the dating scene. It's just about in everything that is out there. Embrace who you are. You know, be willing to behave in a way that people will say, I don't like that. Because if you're behaving in any other way, you're faking it. You're a faker. You're a manipulative little faker. If you are behaving in a way that everybody is like, if you say, oh man, everybody likes me, there's not a single person out there who disapproves of my behavior. Well, it's because you're a character, you're an actor, you're acting for everybody around you in order to get their approval, because you're a people-pleasing, seeking behavior of manipulation. It's just straight up. Face it for what it is. Once you get it and you understand it and you know it and you own it, then you're like, okay, well, I guess I will be willing to behave in a way that some people will find inappropriate. That's their problem, not mine. Right? And once you find that you start acting and behaving what is your true being, your true nature, your true character, right? Not the fabricated one that you think that other people want to see. You start acting like you normally do or normally should, right? Not act differently when you're in this group and then act differently when you're in that group, right? You act the same consistently through all that, then what you will find is people who resonate with you. And then you are living your real life. You're not faking it for anybody. You're not trying to convince anybody. Eh? They either resonate with you or they don't. And then you can have a YouTube channel where you sit in a 97 Suburban talking about whatever it is that you want to talk about, because you're not faking it for anybody to listen to. It's just, this is real. And some people like it and other people don't. Right? And those who like it, and I mean, some people even listen to it, they don't even really like it, but they understand that it's at least some reality truth of, somebody who is just spilling it out from the heart and not trying to be like, hey, listen to this because it's really entertaining and let me sell you something and let me do all these other things that'll grab your attention and make me a bunch of money or something of that nature. Like, I could probably be doing stuff like that. I mean, I get offers for sponsorships all the time. I really should be doing that, pursue more money in that fashion. But then I would probably be putting out videos that weren't me, right? I mean, this is me being me. All right, moving on. Hey, let's check out the $2 from Angry Capitalist. Thank you so much. The best friends result from the right adversaries. Yeah. I could see that for sure. Thank you so much for the $2 and the support, man. I really appreciate it. Oh, that had nothing to do with what I said. Oh, I'm sorry, man, if it was me you were talking to, or if I just misunderstood something. All right, all these male traits women are praising now don't mean shit if they are broken men. If they are broke men. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I mean, I see this a lot, and I see a lot of people complaining about it, and believe me, like, I even see it out there with a lot of people that I know. I know a lot of single women, and I know a lot of single men, and I think to myself, wow, you all want the same things, but yet you all can't get together. I wonder what's going on here. My wife and I have been together since we were 18 years old. We've gone through and experienced things that most couples will never, ever, ever get the chance to do because they won't stick around long enough to experience those. When I hear about how couples split up, and I think, I go and I talk to them, I'm like, hey, what's going on? Why do y'all break up? And I listen to some of the things that they talk about, and I'm thinking, that? My wife and I went through way worse than that. It was like, that ain't even like, that's like mild. Yeah, but yet you couldn't make it through that. So I wonder, no wonder why there's so many divorces and people are unhappy with their relationships and stuff, because they have too many expectations of what it is that they feel that it should be. Yeah, people say all the time, I was just like, oh man, I want a relationship just like what you and your wife has. And I'm like, oh, really? Do you now? I mean, I can see where you would want this, but do you really want to go for the 30 years that it took to get here? Because I don't see where most people are willing to do that. And because there's some tough times. I mean, it was way tough. And if you want to have what we have, then you have to experience some of that stuff, because that's what we had to go through in order to be here. And it was not easy. In fact, there was sometimes there that I wondered, what in the hell are we doing? Why are we still together? This isn't right. You question it every single day for months and wondering, what is going on here? Why are we doing it like this? And most people aren't willing to go through that. So when it comes out the other side and you're like, okay, yeah, we want something like that. And I was like, I don't think you do. Because the effort that we had to go through was intense in order to be to where we are today. And I guess that if you are willing to get together at 18 years old and stick with it no matter what, even if you're questioning it for a while, why you're doing it. If you're willing to do that, then yeah, okay, maybe you can have something like I have. Right? But most people aren't going to do that. Most people aren't going to do like what Sarah and I had done. People ask me all the time, I was just like, Sarah, your best friend? I was like, no. Sarah's not my best friend. She's so much more than that. She is beyond somebody who's a friend. I can't even describe what it is that she's moved on in my life to. Right? So I look out there and I think to myself, when I see these single women and these single men, and they talk about what it is that they want and what it is that they have gone through in their life and their relationships and stuff like that, and I'm thinking to myself, I hope you enjoy your single life. I can't tell you how to live. I can't tell you what it is that you need to think and feel and give meaning to. I can't do that. I can only tell you that after, how long has it been? 30 years. Yeah, 30 years. I'm almost 31 right now. 31 years. That what it is that I feel most people end up going through that separates them was probably the thing that was going to draw them closer together. They couldn't make it through it. They had gotten through that, they would be so much tighter and closer today. They couldn't do it. Right? And next time they get into a relationship and it gets even close to that, they back away. They run. Like, I don't want to experience that pain and suffering again. So they'll never be able to get through it. And they'll never have that experience because they can't get through that pain. Some people might. I shouldn't say nobody will. I shouldn't say that at all. I shouldn't say that at all. There's probably people out there who meet, connect, perfect, in love forever, never have any issues, happy until the day they die on the same day. Right? I mean, I don't know, right? Does that sound like it's going to be the way it's going to go down? All right. Why trying to imagine the taste of steak? We trying to imagine the taste of steak. Actually, I'm not sure what it is you guys are talking about, but imagining the taste of steak, like just having that imagination and not even saying anything about it, not telling anybody, not doing anything else, but just sitting there imagining the taste of steak. Okay? And just have a feeling of what it would be like to eat it. Have it in front of you, like the sound of it cooking, the smell of it cooking, all that. Just be there in that energy of thinking of that. Right? And you'll be surprised on how short of a time it would really take before you're actually consuming a steak. Whether you go and just overwhelmed and go and buy one and cook it yourself, or if somebody invites you out, or something of that nature, you'd be amazed. See, being in the right energy at the right time, to be in the flow, to be in the way of receiving it. Very much like Freddie getting that baseball from Trevor Story of the Red Sox shortstop, who at the end of the sixth inning after the final out, and the ball rallies around the infield, walks up to the third baseline. I point at Freddie, and he tosses it right at us. Right? I told Freddie, I said, just being excited, man, you'll get a ball. Just be in the energy of having the fun and the excitement of the stadium and the roar of the crowd and everything that's going on, and the energy of being in the flow of receiving a ball will be there. And it was, and it happened. Right? It's like magic. You can have anything you want in your life. Just put it out there as far as the idea that you don't see it any other way. And you're in the energy of receiving it. And if it doesn't happen, it's okay. Right? Because essentially, you have already got it in your head that you already got it. And I know that sounds weird and like the crystal gripping hippie kind of crap, that people in their own way manifest stuff into your life. That's how I've gotten everything, including the horribleness in my life. It was because of what I was imagining. It was what I was thinking about. It was how I was feeling and acting and behaving on account of what was going on inside. If you imagine yourself eating that steak, not tell anybody, just sit there and just think about it, Sit there on the couch, lean your head back, and imagine what it would be like to have that steak. Not eating it today, not eating it tomorrow, not, thinking how you're going to get it, where it's going to come from, how, all that other stuff. Just simply enjoying it. Yeah. That's all it takes. And then everything else will start lining up for it. Let's go check out this $10 from what is that? Dot Master. Thank you so much for the $10. You're always a straight shooter, by the way. Caught bingo for the first time. Had a blast. Well, right on, man. You were at the bingo game? Is that what was happening? That's cool. For a lot of you who know, I do a side hustle every Sunday here in Astoria at the Workers Bar and Grill. I call bingo. It starts at 6:30. So if you happen to be in the area and you want to come and play the bingo game and meet the Uneducated Economist for a minute, We do that at 6:30 every Sunday at the Workers in Astoria. Meet bingo. It's awesome. All right, manifesting is thinking it through. Yeah, and I think deja vu, like a lot of times, thinking of the process can complicate the issue, right? It's not not like, say, putting the picnic table together where you're thinking of every little piece that you have to put together. Like, that's different, right? Putting the process of the project together, laying out the roadmap to get there, that's one thing, right? But having something in your life that is not necessarily something you can just go and buy or create or go to, right? It's something that has to be like an energy in which that you are receiving of something of such nature. Like, even so much as just having a relationship. If you are in this desperate need for a relationship, then you're probably going to end up being in a relationship with somebody else who is desperate and needy. And then it'll end up having this confliction the moment that you move out of desperate and needy, right? Because now you're not in the same energy as somebody who's desperate and needy. This is the problem that a lot of people end up facing, right? So instead of just being the real natural and just letting go of everything and just being in the feeling of, I already know what it would be like to be in a relationship, have the feelings of what it would be like to be in that relationship, and ultimately let go of any kind of relationship expectations that are out there, the appropriate relationship would manifest. The right energy would appear, right? Just like anything else. Anything will go like this. That's how I've gotten everything in my life. People who say, well, you don't have this, that, and the other thing. I was just like, well, that's your imagination, right? That's your imagination. My imagination was a house in my old neighborhood where I used to live that was very simple with a big front yard. That was my vision for the house. It wasn't anything more specific than that. My old neighborhood where I grew up, simple house, big front yard. Well, holy crap, there it is, right? And it wasn't even me I wasn't even wanting to get the house. You guys got to understand this, right? Like, at the time when I was buying this house, it wasn't something that I was going for. I was trying to not buy a house. I was like, if you go back and watch the videos, I was trying to find a place to rent. There was no place to rent. I thought it was too expensive. I didn't want to buy a house at the time. And it was like I had no other choice. It was like I had no other choice. I had it in my head that I wanted a house in my old neighborhood with a big front yard. That was in my head the entire time. My strategy was to not go for it, but the universe had better ideas for me. It was like, nah, you've been thinking about this thing. You've been pushing for a very long time. Everything that you have done in your life led up to the ability to do it. So now you don't have any other choice. It's happening. Well, maybe I shouldn't have imagined it if it wasn't something I truly wanted in my life. So now maybe you have to question what it is that you really want in your life and what it is that you're truly experiencing out there. So you have to understand, everything that you have going on in your life right now, where you are at, is because of everything that you have been thinking and feeling. If you can't get to the core of that, if you cannot figure that part out, then you will always suffer with the situation because of what it is that you're thinking and feeling. When you think and feel in a different fashion, the universe and the reflection, everything will start to change. And that's important to understand, especially when it comes to earning money. Because most people think that money is difficult and that it's hard and that it's always distant and it's away. And these are the type of feelings that a lot of people carry with them as they stress about how it is that they're going to pay their bills and how it is that they're going to, continue on. And this is the reason why they end up with more of it, is because that's what the feeling and thoughts that they are carrying. I know, because this is how it happened to me. I did it exactly the same way. Right? I thought about how all the reasons why it was that my life was suffering, and it was proven to me that's exactly how it works. There's no question. It literally comes down to what it is that you're feeling, the attitude that you have about it. If you think that there's no money out there to be had for you, then yeah, it won't be there. But if you know that it's always there, it's everywhere, it's constant, right? And it's just a matter of you figuring out how you need to put yourself in the flow of it. Once you get into that, it doesn't matter if it's money or relationships or anything else that you want out there. It all works the same way. If you have a negative attitude about it, if you have a negative attitude about women, why would women want to hang out with you? I don't get that, right? And if you have a negative attitude about money, why would money want to come to you? I don't get that. You know? If you have a negative, attitude about everything that you're doing out there and complain about how it is that people are driving and the way that people are behaving, the way that they're acting and they're doing all this other stuff, you have all this pissed offness at the external, then why would the external want to do anything that's happy for you? You see this give and take that comes from it? You get an exact reflection of everything that you're feeling and thinking out there. If you're in a group of people and you're excited and you're happy and you're telling jokes and everybody's laughing, is that a good time? Yeah, right? High vibrations, good vibrations. If you go in there and you're like, oh man, it was a terrible drive. Everybody was cutting me off. My boss is like a total jerk. I can't believe it. I can't afford any of this stuff. Do you think anybody's going to want to hang out with you? Is that fun? Does that sound like fun? Of course not, right? It's because you're in a negative energy. This is it. This is so simple. It's so simple. The hardest part is being consistent to it to actually get the reflection back. Because if you have been a pissed off person for a very long time, it takes a little healing. Right? It takes a while to get the reflection. You're not going to get a reflection back of like awesomeness the day that you decide that you're going to start watching stand-up comedy to feel better about your life out there. Right? And you think the next day it's going to be all awesome because you laughed all night. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to change the way it is that you are thinking and feeling from now on, and then the view will change. All right. I must be naive. First generation Slavic American Popinjay? Popinjay. I wonder what that is. All right. But yes, when apocalypse comes, it'll be good to have large garden with a femme who does the cooking. She can get those kids spitting out. Okay, well, I guess that's the attitude and feelings that you have towards it. I mean, I'm not sure what it is that you're going to get out of that, but okay, cool. That's you. You do you. I don't know where it is. Like, my wife does a lot for the house, right? She does all the cooking. She pretty much does all the cleaning, does all that kind of stuff. I do a lot outside. I do all the yard work. I do a lot of, house repair kind of stuff. I probably should be doing more, house improvement kind of things. We all have our positions that we take. I do a lot to try and make sure that everything is easy. There's no complications. Nothing's hard, right? She wants to go to the grocery store. She wants to fill up the basket. Go for it. Right? She's a very good shopper. She doesn't go and waste money. She pays attention to what she's doing. But that was one of the things. I mean, we had talked about it. In fact, it was a friend of mine, John, who had said it to me. It was just like, my wife loved it the day that she didn't have to count what was going into the basket, what was going into the shopping cart. Because most people, like we all know, you're counting every single item that's going in there because you have a budget and you can't go over that budget. And so you're adding up every single thing that goes in there. Well, the day that you don't have to do that anymore, that's a huge relief. That was a huge relief for Sarah. When I told her that, I said, you don't have to stress it anymore. I said, you shop so good. You never buy anything that you never, that was outlandish or weird or, expensive or stuff like that, especially when it comes to the grocery shop. And she's so good at it. I said, you don't have to stress about it anymore. I said, if you want to fill the pantry up because you're just wanting to fill it up, go for it. And I said, you don't have to stress about that anymore. That relief for her, just in that simple thing like that, was huge. It was huge for her, right? And to be able to do that, to be able to say that, don't stress about that part of things, you can just, just go for it. That's huge for me. Right? I had never, ever, 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 ever been in a position in my life that I could say that until now. Right? I mean, you guys gotta understand, that in itself, which seems so simple and insignificant to most people out there, is probably one of the biggest, most profound things in our life. It means so much to both of us. For me to be able to do it and for her to be able to do it. Yeah. That's why it's so different for a lot of people, is because they don't understand the significance of that. All right. Someone who makes you happy really matters because kids come and go pretty fast. Then it's just the two of you. That's when the relationship really shows its worth. Yeah, because you guys can, like, I agree with that. When it comes to the kids, like, you can have this combined, like, goal of making sure that the kids are raised properly. And with that, effort of getting the kids up and raised and out of the house, that gives you something like you're like a team doing that. But then once that's over, is it really like are you still a team? Like you made a great team raising the kids, but maybe not so much a great team living just the two of you on your own anymore, right? And this is where, like, a lot of times you'll end up finding divorces happen after the kids have moved out, or later on in life, is because they just realized it was just like, hey, we were awesome together when we were doing family things, but we're not awesome together, just this couple, or whatever. And I could see where that could happen. And, and if I do have to give it to people who can recognize that within themselves and the relationship and be able to let go of it and still be connected, still be friends, and say, hey, yeah, it is like we've been together a super long time, but it doesn't work anymore. And to be able to have like that, I guess, adult conversation and be able to walk away feeling good about it and feeling good about each other, that's magnificent. Like, to be able to do something like that, that's incredible, because most people are usually, it's one or the other that wants out or wants to stay, and it just doesn't work out to be friends anymore because there's too many expectations of the other one and what it is that they had for their future. So yeah, being able to do that, I think, is excellent, and to recognize that. But yeah, to know ahead of time that that's coming, right? That there's a life beyond. Like, Sarah and I were together for a long time before we had kids, and then I had only assumed that we're going to be together a long time after the kids are gone. And when we talk about what our life would be like after the kids are gone, it's very similar. We joke around and talk like it's both of our plan. Like, we don't have different ideas on what it is that we want. We kind of have the same idea. I have some buddies who were never so lucky. Yeah. My wife and I are a great team even after our kids moved out. Some stuff. Us as well. Women objectify, men subjectify. I mean, just is what it is. Like, think about human nature from an instinctual point of view. Women can't really love men. They can't. Okay? It's not a survival mechanism for them to love men completely in that fashion. And if you think about it from this primitive point of view, it'll make a lot more sense. If the bear shows up, she has to be able to kick the old man to the bear and take the kids and run. Think about that. That's survival. That's human survival instinct. She has to be able to do that. She has to be able to let go of that old man and run with the kids. And so when you see it happening out there in a different, because we're not in this primitive society, but we still have these primitive instincts. So when you see it happen in different fashions out there, where it seemed like this loving relationship that was so deep all of a sudden disintegrated and goes, because it was never really truly in her nature to be able to stay there unconditionally to that man. And it's sad to say it that way. And I mean, I don't like saying it outright because it's even hurtful and it seems like disappointing in a lot of ways. But once you understand that that's the natural human instinct that is there, for a reason, for a survival mechanism reason. Right? Well, then now you have to be in the position that says, hey, I am a protector. I am a provider. I am the one who is going to do this better for you than anybody else can. And if I can convince you of that, you'll stick around. It's sad, right? You have to be able to do that. If you are a lazy shit who cannot produce, who cannot put out skills, who cannot be useful in this world, then why is that attractive? I don't care how physically attractive you are, that's not attractive to women. And so it's simple. Divine masculine behavior will attract divine feminine behavior. You put yourself in that energy, the energy will manifest itself. If you are fake, if you are trying to be manipulative, if you are trying to be the nice guy, then you are going to get a response from it that is going to be painful. You may get what you want for a minute, and then you're going to get whipped in the face, right, by doing that. I don't know what else to say. This is my experience from life. I'm 49 years old. I'm a super old man now. All right. And I've been with my wife for a very long time, and I've watched a million people go through relationship issues, including my own relationship issues. And this is what I have discovered. This is what I found out. You know? And so many people will disagree. I understand. People will disagree all they want. I don't care. This is my observations. This is what I've seen. I've witnessed this myself so many times. I guarantee you, the things that I have heard, all my single women friends who have said, this is what I want in a guy, what they are truly attracted to doesn't have a single one of those traits. Not one. I laugh every time. I'm like, here, put a list down of everything that you need to have in a guy for you to be attracted to him. And I guarantee you everything on that list will absolutely disappear when the real guy that they're attracted to presents itself, because everything on that list just goes away. Right? Once you see it, once you recognize it, once you know what it is that's happening out there, and you're thinking, okay, why is it going down like this? Is this society, or is it a primitive, instinctual behavior that is now stuck in a modern time? That's what's happening. Yeah. The harder you try to hold on, the more she will feel trapped. Don't do that. Absolutely. Listen, there's no point in holding on to something, right? It either is or it isn't. If you're trying to hold on to it, then you're going to be doing things that are going to be, you're not conducting yourself. You're not conducting yourself appropriately. Oh, we're getting close. What time is it? We're going to go get some haircuts here in a little bit. I'm a short, ugly man, and I don't care. Well, deplorable. I've known plenty short, ugly men who've had some pretty nice, hot women in their life because their magnificent attitude was well more attractive than any of their physical. Women, like, the physical features are great for the initial attraction. Like, don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, I don't want to brag it up, but I like to think that I'm a fairly decent looking dude. And I mean, I've gotten women to look at me and, you know, be somewhat attractive just from the features that I have. But if if you're a dipshit, you're gonna turn that woman off right away. And I mean, that's obvious. I've seen that happen so many times. And then I've seen some dudes who don't look like they have much going on as far as their physical feature be so charismatic and funny and engaging and just everything with it that they got the women's attention like all over the place. I've seen it happen many times. I had a buddy who was just like this gross, nasty looking little hippie dude, rode a bicycle everywhere, and just like, he seemed like he was drunk all the time and stuff. And he had so many girlfriends. And I just never good. Like, even the girls that I would talk to were like, why that dude? He's like, Greasy. And they're like, I don't know. They couldn't even answer it. It was just like, it's because he was so carefree, engaging, give a shit less about anything that was going on out there, funny and all this stuff, right? And that's what it took, you know. He knew that game. He knew it so well. He didn't like, really, like, I mean, I'm like, dude, you're dirty and greasy and stuff, you know, and you don't try very hard at anything, you know. It's like, all right. Was he a provider? No, but he didn't have relationships. He had girlfriends. He just had like he didn't have like meaningful, long-lasting relationships. He just had all kinds of people in his life. Yeah. People confuse intellect with charisma. Women care for one only. Usually it's charisma. It's all about feelings, guys. That's why it's so difficult for a lot of guys out there, is because most of us are too logical. I don't know, why are we talking about this? We should be talking about like side hustles and stuff. Most guys are too logical, right? And when you're a logical talker and you talk in logic, you are very boring and very neutral. A guy who can throw girls' emotions around and feelings around, make them laugh, make them cry, make them feel all kinds of just all these different emotions all over the place, they're attracted to that because women like feelings. Men like logical things, women like feeling things, right? They like the feelings of it. And so if there's a guy out there who really understands how it is that he can control, which is kind of a weird way to say it, but to control a woman's emotions and feelings, they're attracted to that. They like to have their feelings pulled around. You know, where most guys are trying to behave in a way that doesn't move their feelings around and keeps it neutral, and then they wonder why it is that women just find them as friends. Well, it's because this other dude who makes them feel all kinds of stuff they're attracted to. Whether it's good, bad, or ugly, or beautiful and happy and fun, they're attracted to feelings. And if you piss them off all the time, that's exactly what it'll be. You'll be pissed off. They'll be pissed off. But that's the difference inside of it. You know? I'm slightly more logical, but it's a defense mechanism. Yeah. Rawls has a side hustle a lot. Has to side hustle a lot, yeah. Chad's get her feelings activated due to Chad's superior genes and looks. Yeah. Well, have you ever okay, let's move on. Let's talk about side hustles and stuff. All right, solid life advice from an uneducated economist. I love this channel. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And really, you guys guide the channel. You guys guide it into the direction in which that we were talking about and the conversations that we have. I generally just start it, but it ends up moving off into the direction that is never really like from the original topic that we were trying to cover. Yeah. All right, I dream that one day my side hustle, home delivery cremation service will go big and nationwide. Women will have to go door to door to sell this service while men have to do the furnaces. We're, all right, well, go for it. Hooked on feeling dun 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 da da. I'm considering real estate as a side hustle. Yeah, absolutely. Street performing, anyone? I mean, as an entertainer myself, like I have always loved the street performance. Like to be able to go out there and entertain somebody out on the street for money. Like, hey man, I'm gonna come out here and I'm gonna do a dance or a song or a trick or whatever in order to grab your attention for just a minute in order to make some money. Man, I love that. I love that. As an entertainer, that's my favorite, you know. I blame Trump for your women problems too. All right, but what does it mean if it doesn't mean anything? It gets the girls going. I mean, if you are trying to do something to get the girls' attention, it's manipulative behavior. Right? And so just think about that. You are already the perfect individual, dude. You're already there, right? Pursue what it is that makes you happy. Pursue what it is that makes you strong. Pursue what it is that brings better experiences to your life, and I guarantee you the right energy will start showing up for that. Right? But if you're trying to do things that attracts the energy, that says, I'm doing this for one reason and one reason only, and that's to get the attraction of another energy out there, you will fail at that. The natural, correct energy will attract to you if you are behaving accordingly. If you are acting manipulatively, which is I'm doing this so that I can get attention from somebody else, the person that you attract will most likely be attracted to somebody who is faking it so that they could be attracted to that attention. The moment that you stop and try to be real, it's all over. All right? Just remember that. You're already perfect. You're already the perfect dude. Present that perfect dude out there to the world, not care about trying to get one particular area or energy or thing, person, and the right one will just naturally present itself to you. It's much like being in the flow of money or anything else out there. It's just like I said, if you want to be in the flow of money, then put yourself in the flow of money. You can't sit there and wonder how it is that you put yourself in the flow of money, because that's a whole different type of energy. That's the energy of how do I do this? How do I do it energy is very different from doing it energy. And doing it energy doesn't mean that you're necessarily getting it done. Doing it energy may be stumbling through the process of learning how to be in that energy. If you want to dance, like if you wanted to go out there and dance like a beautiful rock star dances, I don't know how to describe it. And you have no idea on how to keep beat with your body and movements and stuff like that, you are going to look pretty damn silly out there on the dance floor when you're doing it. But that first time has to happen. You got to dance for the first time. And it's not going to be something pretty and awesome and fun to watch, right? In fact, it's probably going to be somewhat embarrassing in a lot of ways. But if you don't do that, then you'll never, ever, 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 ever dance. So you have to get out there and you have to be in the energy of dancing, not wanting to dance. You can sit there and research and do all the videos and read all the books and all the other things that go along with it. But until you actually step out on the dance floor, it's meaningless. You are in a different type of energy when you are in the studying on how to as opposed to doing. And that's where I think a lot of people, especially when it comes to economics, they're stuck in how to so much. They'll watch every video, watch all these different economists, read all these different articles, find all these different books. And I'm thinking to myself, you're in the energy of trying. Why don't you go into the energy of doing? Take $50 and go for it, right? Maybe it's $500. I don't know. Go and start doing. And once you start doing, you're going to screw it up. So just expect that. Just expect that I can't possibly dance like a rock star the very first time I get on the dance floor. It's not possible. I mean, maybe for somebody it is. I shouldn't say it's impossible. For somebody it's possible. For the rest of us, no. We're going to all have to try. We're going to have to do routines. We're going to have to practice and rehearse. And knowing that it looks like hell at first. But the more you do it and the more experience you have at it, the better you get at it. And that's everything in life. It's just the same way. If you want to dance, you got to go and do that ugly dance first to be in the energy of being on the dance floor, because then you're doing. Up until that point, you're not. You're trying energy, you're wanting energy, you're studying energy, you're all the other energies in the world, but until you're actually in the doing energy, you're never going to get it done. Never. Right? Practice makes perfect. It's like get in there and start doing it. Same thing for me. It's like, I wanted to do public speakings. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, it would be nice to start small, like with a small group, 20 people, and then move up to 100 people, and, 1,000 people. This is like kind of get bigger and bigger as you go. The very first speaking engagement was at the Rebel Capitalist, 850 people, a super elite group out there, and I'm going to give an hour-long talk for the very first time. What in the world? That's not working up to anything. That's jumping right into the middle of the deep end. All right? Go do it. Get her done. Once you get it done, well, now that's under your belt. The next one, well, that'd probably be scary too, but it won't be as scary as that, right? Because that was the first one. Yeah. And even in that, everybody said I did great. I know on the inside my failure within it. I know I was nervous. I know that I didn't remember being up there. I know that there was things that I wanted to say that I didn't say. There was things that I criticized for myself while being up there that I didn't perform in the way that I truly wanted to. Everybody else thought I did awesome. But I knew the truth inside. I knew that I was panicking. I knew that I was forgetting what I was supposed to say. But I'm a pretty good actor, right? So I was able to pull it off. Right? Keep chill on the outside no matter how scared you are on the inside. That's doing. That's the doing energy. Yeah. Up until that point, I was wanting. And now I can do it. And I've done it many times since then. And every time I do it, it gets funner and more exciting and easier. You know, I still get up on stage. I'm still nervous. It was funny. I was listening to the speech or the speaking I gave over at a Zuber's conference, and I'm listening to it, and I can hear the shaking in my voice. I can hear it like quivering, right? And I'm like, "Can't you hear it?" And my wife's like, "No, you sound pretty confident to me," you know. And I'm like, I can hear it. I can hear the nervousness taking place. Yeah, because I was. And like even still now, half a dozen times later, I'm still, still feeling it. Let's see here. I own food carts around Portland, Oregon, and Southwest Washington. Huh, cool. Nervousness is proof that one cares. Yeah. And it's also like, being nervous is it's the exact same energy and feelings as being excited. Like if you're about ready to, go down the water slide or whatever, it's this exciting feeling that you're about ready to go into, right? Well, that's exactly the same feeling of about ready to go up on stage and give a presentation or something. It's a nervous feeling that is arising, but it's excitement. And if you can give it meaning of excitement, it's just like, holy crap, I'm really nervous. You're going to say, no, I'm just really excited. Right? I'm I'm like overwhelmingly excited to be here right now. Right? Chill your excitement for a second. It's the same thing as being nervous. Same thing. Right? It's just the meaning that you're giving it. Nervous is usually meaning they're scared, where excitement is you're ready, you're happy and excited to go do it, whatever. But it's the same thing. I mean, if it was scary, if you were nervous to go up on stage, and then once you got it done, and it was a scary event, once it was over, you would still be scared. But generally you're not. You're really happy. Like you went into it with this fear that something bad was going to happen, but that's not the case, right? That's not what's going to go down. What's going to go down is you're going to give a presentation, you're going to get out there and do your thing, and then at the end of it, you're going to feel really awesome for it. Right? Nothing bad happens from it. I mean, I guess one could screw it up or whatever if you didn't do the rehearsal of it, or just really went up there with nothing to say. But that's not generally how you do things, right? I mean, if you're somebody who's pretty engaging out there on YouTube and you go up on stage, you're probably going to try to be somewhat engaging on stage as well. All right, sweat the good stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Balloon Pimp, if you could have any job, no matter what the requirements, you meet them, what job would you choose? I mean, as far as a job, like I like what I'm doing. Like if somebody was to say, man, if you could have your just dream job of whatever it is that you're doing, this is it. Right here. This is what I would want to be doing on a regular basis from now on, because this is my dream job. To be able to talk and engage and share ideas and thoughts and stuff, like to me, that's like such a beautiful idea. And if it takes a lot of research from on my part to do a lot of behind the scenes work in order to be able to communicate in a way that shares thoughts and ideas for other people to then use, like that's the hard work I have to go through in order to be able to do something like this for money. That's like what I'm willing to do. Yeah. So this is like I'm doing exactly what it is that I want to do. I don't know if people realize that. I mean, could I be doing more? Absolutely. Could I be making more? Sure. Is there a lot of things that I would like to be doing that I'm not necessarily doing now? I mean, yeah, there's always more stuff out there, but this is what I really want to be doing. I mean, having the regular day job for a lot of people is like something that they don't want to do. They don't want a day job. If you have to have a day job, that makes it difficult to want the day job. But if you don't have to have it and you're choosing to be there, it's a whole different experience. It's not the same experience anymore. It's much easier. It's much more pleasurable. It's fun. Right? So knowing that my job is actually an enjoyable place to be, knowing that I'm choosing to be there instead of being forced to or have to be there, that makes it a whole lot easier to show up for work every day and having that as being the main source of income for my life to make sure that I can pay all my bills on time. That's exactly what that job does. Now, having YouTube gives me all this extra, right? Extra is like the bill that manifested out of nowhere that I didn't know it would be there, right? Being able to pay that, or to be able to go up and take Freddie to the Red Sox games, to the Red Sox Mariners game, to be able to, do some of the things in my life. Well, yeah, having that is a huge benefit, So to me, this is it. Like I know that I have to do something to provide for this world, whether it's, my time or being useful in some way, sharing my ideas, sharing my research. I have to do something in order to get a return from that. This is pretty good, right? This is a pretty good way of going about it. And so I don't think about other things that I would rather be doing. If there was other things that I would rather be doing, I'd do it. I'd just do it. I don't need to I don't need to plan, I don't need anything like that. I just need to go for it, and I just do whatever it is that I want to do. And I know for a lot of people, they look at that and they say, well, you do whatever you want to do. Isn't that kind of like being mean to other people out there? It's just like, don't you care about what other people think and feel? You're just going to do whatever you want to do, like a narcissist or something. No, that's not the case at all. Like, that's not the case at all. When I say I'm doing whatever it is that I want to do, I mean that. I like my job. I like the people I work with. I like what it is that I do for sales. I like the life that I live. I like this YouTube channel. I like being able to go travel around and meet people like George Gammon and Jason Hartman and Ken McElroy and Mike Zuber and, Lumberjack Landlord Matt and all these people. Like, to me, this is like, why would I want to change anything about what it is that I got going on? It's going so well. Like, could it be better? Sure, there's always things that could be better, but how could this possibly be anything that I would want to change? Because it's going so well. This is awesome. All right. Well, I am Hatebreed. Huh. How do you not care? I don't know about that. Okay. I think you should start socialist state. I would probably start in California. You could probably get that going. Must be talking to somebody else. All right, but you can't just be a surgeon or a pilot without training and education. I said any job regardless of the requirements. Fantasy job. I mean, a fantasy job? What would that be? I don't know. I'm doing it. I'm doing my dream. Like, I don't have a fantasy job. There would be things that I think it would be fun to do for like just the experience of trying it out. Like, it would be fun to be in the movies to try, like, to be like in that kind of production. But I don't want to do that for my life. I just want to do it just to have the experience of being able to do it. Like going out on stage to do the play. Super awesome, man. I love the live performance, the rehearsals of it, the taking on the character, all that other stuff. That doing those plays is probably one of the biggest, most funnest, rewarding things that I've done. And I haven't even done that many. I only did 2 of them, right? But they were so impactful in my life as far as like just being a rewarding experience for it. So, I mean, I would love to do more stuff like that, to do entertainment kind of things and to be in the movies, like to act in a movie. I think that would just be fabulous. But again, I would probably only want to do once, and then, I don't know. It'd be cool to, do like some duck hunting guides. Like, I used to be a really avid duck hunter, waterfowl hunter. I was really good at it too. And I haven't done it for years. And it's because it's kind of expensive. You know, you have a boat and a lot of gear and a lot of equipment, and it's just like it got kind of expensive, and I just didn't have the money for it, and I fell out of the hobby. To me, that was so much fun, and I love taking people duck hunting. It was so fun. I didn't even really like shooting that much. I'd just be out there calling ducks in, and letting everybody else, have the shots at them. I could see myself doing something like that for a while too. I don't really have fantasy dream jobs. I could do anything I want. So I know it seems kind of boring, but I kind of like boring too. I mean, I don't, I do exciting things occasionally, and it's nice to decompress and just, be chill and then do something exciting and just be chill, right? That makes the exciting things fun. If you did something exciting every single day, it wouldn't be that exciting and fun. All right, Simon, you're the man. What do you think? Thank you. I appreciate it. What do you think the minimal min income you'd need moving forward to be upper middle class in a state like California? Thanks, homie. I mean, I think it really comes down. This is the problem that I think a lot of times we end up facing is that there is no set income that you would need because everybody's going to be different. See, somebody might need another $12,000 a year beyond what it is that I'm making right now, simply for the fact that they need a new car in their life. Now, I don't need to earn $12,000 more this year because of that, right? I don't need $1,000 a month payment and taxes and insurance and payment and whatever that comes with it. I don't need any of that stuff in my life. So there's $12,000 that I'd like for somebody who's earning $120,000 a year. I mean, that's close to 10% of their income right there that they don't need just by simply not wanting or needing a car, right? So this is it's a very relative question when it comes to like how much do you need in order to live in a particular state. That's all upon you and your standard of living and how elevated that is. The more you need, the more income you need. So the less you need, the less income you need. And this is pretty simple for most people to understand. And I'm not trying to belittle the comment or anything like that, but really it comes down to you need to figure out a way to have as little expenses as possible and the most income. And it doesn't matter if you're living in California or Oregon or Mississippi. It doesn't matter where you're at, right? That's the same no matter what. So, I knew something some so awesome about you other than economics. What is that? All right, for everyone an educated economist, there's millions that fail. Yeah. There's not no neo-Keynesian or any other thing. Socialism is that all means of production and assets every citizen owns never happened. Uneducated economist, you are working class, buddy. You don't own anything except your personal property, like your car. You probably don't even own your house. These what Borigan, I don't even can't even read the word here. Dreams go nowhere. Okay, well, I mean, I'm gonna take your comment and pretty much just say you're a dick. So what it comes down to is that I lived a life at 40 years old where I had nothing. Like less than nothing. In fact, I had $20,000 in debt. I had no vehicle. I had, no property. I didn't have any liquidable assets, nothing like that. And nowadays, I have over $100,000 in liquidable assets. I got over $100,000 equity on a piece of property that I own. I own 3 vehicles, but they're not very fancy. But that's okay. I still own them outright. I have very little credit card debt, which should be knocked out fairly quickly. And I was able to pretty much make that all happen in less than 5 years. Now, There was a few years that led up to it that took me a while to build the situation that I am now using in order to acquire these things. But for somebody to say you probably don't have anything going on in your life and you probably don't own your house and you probably all, well, you're probably right about most of the things that you're saying, but you're very ignorant in the sense that you probably couldn't do what I did. Okay? You start off at 40 years old with nothing, drunk, no anything going on, no like business, no education, none of that stuff. You're starting from scratch. 40 years old, drunk loser. Now go. See how well you can do this. You can sit here and try and belittle me a little bit. I know my worth. I know what I've done. And I know that the people who are watching this channel shared in the experience of me doing exactly that, and they want to do something very similar for themselves in their life. You want to come to us as a millionaire and say, hey, let me tell you how to be a millionaire when I did it during a time that you don't have? Is that really what's going on here? Like, this is what I see from most millionaires out there, people who have a bunch of wealth in their life. They're saying, oh, you losers down there. If you had done it like me, well, guess what? We don't have an opportunity like you do. So go shut up. All right? We're sitting here trying to figure out how it is that we can change the way that we are doing things in our lives so that we can have more. And part of that is understanding that not everybody had a fair shot at life and not everybody made good decisions leading up to the point that they are right now, but today is a new day. All right? Today is a new day. And every day we get to change. And the more we change and the more we adapt to the situation and the better we become, we don't have to look back on our past and say, hey man, you were a loser and that's going to hold you down for the rest of your life. No, it's just our past. And it was learned, right? We learned from that. It drives me nuts when I see people do that. People who come out here with, come out and say, oh man, look at me, I got $10 million and you could do it too. No, you got your $10 million during a time that was long ago that we don't have today. We don't have that same situation. The inequality is far too gone. Our manufacturing jobs aren't good enough. Good jobs suck. You have to work multiple jobs. You have to put in more effort than you ever had any time in history, but the opportunities there are more presented than any time in history. Yeah. Good stuff. Moving on. All right. Lots of stuff sounds good in theory, but what he is saying works in our reality. One day a millionaire, the next day broke. You never know. Yep, MWriter777. I totally agree. I've seen it happen myself. I mean, I actually couldn't believe it. I mean, somebody that I looked to, thought, highly respected, like, broke, nothing, gone. Like, gone. And I'm like, how is that even possible? That's maybe one of the reasons why I don't get into luxurious experiences is because, watching other people who had what had seemingly had a lot going on in their life with a lot of money and I thought were just super successful, turned out that it was just all fabricated show, that they really weren't that successful to begin with at all. And even though they were driving around in super fancy trucks and had $1 million houses and all this other stuff, it all evaporated pretty quickly when all of a sudden things tightened up and the great financial crisis kicked in. It was all over. It was quick, Oh, whoa, I got here and Simon was fired up. I missed the good part. That's okay. We'll let it go. But there are a lot of old people who moved out here from New York, and then a whole bunch of people came from California back in 2008. The Californians bought the properties outright. Same thing happened here in Astoria. There was a time when you could have picked up houses for $150,000. I mean, they would have been fixer-upper opportunities and stuff like that, but you could have easily gotten houses for, anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 easy. They were all over the place. Today, you can't find a place to build a house for $200,000. That's what's scary. You can't even find a place to build a house for $200,000, let alone find a house. All right. Houses now, $500,000 here. All of them. Like even the fixer-upper, like a run-down, dumpy-ass piece of crap house, $385,000. Right? Here's your fixer-upper opportunity, and it's going to cost you $385,000 to do it. Ridiculous. Right? This place, like gentrification in Astoria, is like extreme. And understanding the Cantillon effect explains it so well. 390. I paid $399,000 for my fixer-upper. Yeah, right. Can you explain the difference between private versus personal property? Is there a difference? Do you think house prices come down soon? No. I mean, some areas will. They already have. But, I mean, what are you talking about down? Down to what? Down to a reasonable amount? Like, when I think down to the capabilities of the buyer, right? The buyer is the average everyday dude, right? The average everyday household. I shouldn't say dude, family, right? Men, women, doesn't matter. Average everyday household. To be able to afford that. Now, a good manufacturing job back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, even into the 80s and early 90s was still possible to buy a house, right? That manufacturing job was enough income, right? Or even just any job. It didn't matter if manufacturing. I just use that because a lot of people use that, right? But a good job was enough to buy this house. Today, that doesn't exist, right? It's because there's this huge inequality that has now taken place that the people at the lower end suffer the most from this. And a good example of that is the ability to buy a house, right? So even if the house prices were to come down, the capabilities of the buyer are falling away. So it's not like the houses getting cheaper is going to bring opportunity for the buyer. I just don't see that to be the case. In fact, there was a recent article that I was reading talking about how that there would be more inventory if the interest rates were to come down. And I thought to myself, why would anybody have this illogical concept of believing that if interest rates came down, all of a sudden there would be a flood of inventory coming out there on the market? Now, don't get me wrong. I think that there would be a moment that a lot of people would find the opportunity to put their house out there to go buy a different house, right? But there's just flipping one house for another. I do agree that there would be some inventory that would come from that sort of opportunity, but when interest rates were incredibly low, it wasn't like we had an abundance of inventory back then. In fact, there was lacking of inventory. I know. I had to buy this house, and it was the only one that was meeting anything of the desire that I had. Like no other house in my area, because there was simply not enough of them for sale. And that was when interest rates are at 3 1/8%. So to think that we can bring interest rates down to produce more inventory, no, that's not going to be the case. I mean, it might be a short moment in time in which that people will be flooding their houses out there to try and flip it into another house, but you're swapping, right? One house for another. Sure, it might bring more inventory, but it's not like it's going to bring a bunch more inventory that's going to all of a sudden fix the housing crisis that we have that we're facing. It would be the same issues that we were facing prior to COVID when the interest rates were low. Right? Same problems. So house prices aren't coming down. Inequality is going to go up. Rents, leases, they're going to go up. Property ownership is going to get concentrated. So if you're looking for an opportunity coming into the future, your opportunity is to make more money now so that you could take advantage of that going into the future. But thinking like maybe sometime in the future, the capabilities of what it is that I'm doing right now will be enough or sufficient to buy a house, I wouldn't sit around waiting for that. I don't know if I don't think that's going to be a good plan. All right? Not for me. All right? Like, I wouldn't do that. If you want to buy a house, then I would go through every means necessary in order to acquire the biggest down payment you can and find something out there that you can achieve payments on. Like, and I wouldn't time it. I wouldn't try timing it, me personally, especially if you really want a house to live in. Because I guarantee you, in 20 years from now, you're not going to look back and say that was a bad idea. If you still own that house in 20 years, you're going to be happy you did it. The best time to buy a house is the same time to plant a tree 20 years ago. Rent will go up probably is no one has money to pay. But that's not true. That is simply just not true. See, I love the idea that no one has the money, right? And this is such a far off belief or misunderstood belief that's going on within our economy right now, because you have to think about it. 50% of the consumption that is happening right now is being done by 10% of the households. 50% of the consumption is being done by 10% of the households. What do you think? Okay, if the top 10% of households are doing 50% of the consuming, what do you think the top 30% of households are doing? How much consumption do you think the top 30% of households are consuming if the top 10% are doing 50% of the consuming? Like, would you think like probably all of it? Like probably most of the rest of it. I mean, it'd be a little tiny percentage of the bottom, 70% of the people who are doing the rest of the consuming. It would be a small percentage of the consumption that those people are doing. So when you say it outright, who has the money? Nobody has the money. No, we don't, because we're just average working class individuals who don't have enough to spend beyond our paychecks at the end of the month. So you're right, we don't. But the top 10%, they have plenty, and they have more than enough to buy 50% of the consumption out there. The bottom 50% literally make no difference. They are like almost meaningless in this whole thing. We don't appreciate that. We want us to have meaning. We want us to be reasonably understood from the elected officials to say, hey man, do something that you care for us somewhat. Doesn't exist. It cannot exist. If they cared, then the whole thing would become, it would just unravel and fall apart. The only thing they care about is consuming, making sure that the consumer is there. And since 10%, the top 10% do 50% of the consumption, how important are the bottom 50%? Zero importance. Zero. The only thing that they care about is your vote. But they do not care about your existence. They don't care about your way of life. They don't care about anything about you. Nothing. Not a zero. Zero. Nothing. But they do care a lot about the top 10%. That they have a lot of care for. And you can see that because 50% of the consumption is done there, and that's where everything is focused. The rest of us simply don't matter. If you happen to be one of the fortunate people who can be in the top 15%, well, then you actually have somewhat of a decent life. You can enjoy a house. You can enjoy having older vehicles that you own outright. You can enjoy some of the trips and going up to the Mariners game and stuff like that, but you'll never be in that upper top 10%. You can get close. You can do more consuming than the average person does out there, but you'll never be up there. And never will they ever care about creating a situation in which that the bottom 50% have a chance. They just don't give a shit. That they did, it wouldn't work. Like they literally have no concern over you whatsoever, except for to make sure that you have enough to eat to keep you from rioting. That's their only main concern. They don't concern about your health. Think about it. The health is not something that they can. In fact, they would rather you have poor health. That way you would die earlier. Right? Less need to take care of you. Less need to pay out Social Security payments. Right? But they want the top. They want those people to exist for a very long time because there's a lot contributing from those people. That's sad, isn't it? It's the saddest way to look at these things, but it's the reality of the situation. And once you see it for that fashion, well, now you can do something about that, right? And there's nothing you can do to change the way it is, but there is ways that you can conduct yourself differently to deal with the situation, because they're not going to come for you. They're not going to help you. They're not going to create a health situation, a health system to make sure that you can, live the longest, most, excellent life you can. That is entirely your responsibility, 100%. I mean, if you're top 10%, you might have the money to deal with it. But most of us will never have the money to deal with major health issues like that. All right, so it's up to you to make sure you maintain healthy food, exercise, all the other stuff. Because if you don't, you're screwed. All right, moving on. Uh-oh. Is there somebody speaking? I see a little... I'm not going to bring it up. Okay. Meanwhile, rents and mortgages have dropped by 11% on average since 2023. Well, that's okay. Don't throw percentages at me without giving me a base to start from, right? Because this is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard. My house, I bought it for $470,000. It ran up to $620,000 in 2023. $620,000. It's lost better than 20%. Almost, not quite. Almost 20% has come off of the price tag. It's still sitting close to $60,000 more than what I had paid for it. And I had to put $42,000 down. I have like well over $100,000 in equity in this house after it had fallen 20% in price. Don't give me a percentage without giving me a base to start from. That's the most ridiculous thing that you could ever do, especially to an economist. My house went up 10%, then went down 5%, then went up there. What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, foreclosures went up by 100%. Well, what are we talking about? Are we talking about 100% from the high? Or are we talking when foreclosures went from 100 down to 10, and now there's 100% increase, which brought foreclosures to 20? Is that really that many foreclosures, considering there may have been 100 of them just a few years ago? Do you see what I'm talking about with percentages? Yeah. We love discussions. What's 50% of your income covers only your food? What if? Yeah. Oh, yeah. 50. Yeah. And that's what I heard. At 50, if you spend 50% of your income on food, the people will lose their mind and riot. Yeah, I've heard that. All right. Doesn't that worry you? Joe, where did I say that? All right. What's the average man spends 50% on? Okay, they were right. Most Americans are doing fine. I don't know. Are most Americans doing fine? I mean, I think like if you look at their general appearance, they're probably doing fine. Like they have a car and they're eating food and they're doing stuff. But if you were to look at their balance sheet, they're probably incredibly in debt. They're probably struggling to make monthly payments. They're probably doing far from fine. However, the general appearance might be fine. Like they have a job and they get monthly payments coming in, income, and they're able to, go on to the next month with this appearance that they're doing fine. But I don't necessarily agree that everybody's doing fine. What's going on here? Okay. Some people refuse to bootstrap up and literally choose to live in literal squalor. Yeah. I owe over 40K in BS student loans. Well, whoa, wait a minute, John. I don't have student loan debt, and I didn't have an education that I can now use to better myself and have more income from that. I mean, is it BS student loan debt? You took out that debt. I mean, don't get me wrong. I find that the student loan debt thing, when they were pushing it on all these kids, was very predatory. But you still made a conscious decision to take out that debt, right? Now, whether you were lied to or convinced or scammed or something of that nature, you're going to have to learn your lessons from that, man. $40,000 in debt is yours. You own that. I mean, I couldn't go to people and say, "Hey, man, I was drunk when I spent all that money on the credit card. I didn't do anything smart with it. I wasn't productive, and I don't have a decent return on investment from my debt. It's just a bunch of useless, drunken spending that I was doing. I don't want to be responsible for it. People would be like, "Well, that's just too bad." This is like you're responsible for your debt, just like making a bad decision on taking out student loan debt. If you didn't, I mean, maybe it wasn't a bad decision. Maybe you got a degree and you're using it. That's a good thing. Go with it, man. Pay it off. It's not, I mean, I don't get to pay. I didn't get, like, if somebody was to say, hey, man, we're going to give $40,000 to everybody out there and you can use it to pay off your student debt if you want, right? Or you can just use it to blow on whatever you want, right? If that was the case, then okay, well, hell, we all get our UBI and we all get a stimulus, and hey, you paid off your student loan and I get to blow mine on whatever I want, right? Well, that's a different story, right? But now you get 40K in debt relief. What do I get? I didn't get to go to college. I don't have a degree. I don't have the education from it. I don't get to use that degree to better my life and do all this other stuff and just have it just magically just disappear. What do I get for this? Like, my tax dollars pay for it. I mean, I pay a lot in taxes, so I get to help pay for your student loan debt, but then I don't get any benefit from it whatsoever? Nothing? Not a dime? Why is that fair for me? I didn't go to college. I couldn't afford it. I had to go to work. Not that I would have gone to college anyway, because I wasn't that smart. But you get where I'm coming from on this. Like, how come it is that you get relieved of the 40K and BS student loan debt, but I get to pay for it? And I don't get the benefit from it. Like, that doesn't seem very fair to me. It seems like BS to me. You go pay your debts, bro. I mean, I'm not going to pay for it. Nobody paid for my credit card debt, right? If you find yourself in the nihilism, keep going. Absurdity is much funner. Justin, that is true. You can't make people, you can only create conditions that make not doing it less enjoyable. How many actual months of payments have you made on it, John? Can we slow down the Cantillon effect so the separation won't hurt fun for decades? Well, I mean, yeah, you can slow down the Cantillon effect, but I mean, you're talking what aspect of it? Like the separation part? Is that like the part that like is most concerning? Because like the Cantillon effect, nobody was concerned about that when we had the rise in standard of living because we were becoming a manufacturing powerhouse. Nobody wanted to slow that down because that's the moment that you wanted to slow things down to prevent the inequality from taking place. See, the moment that you move into luxuries, that's when the decline. You'll inevitably fall into decline. Right? So the effort to try and prevent the pain from the Cantillon effect takes place when you become the industrious person, when you become the industrious nation. The moment that you increase your income, do not move into luxurious experience. Redeploy that back into production and savings and keep your living expenses incredibly low. But the moment that you raise your elevated standard of living, the moment that you want a household with a single income for the house, for the kids, the car, the college tuitions, the retirement, the moment that you want that experience, inevitable decline will come from that. Okay. And that's the Cantillon effect. You have to understand that part of it. It's cyclical. You don't want to stop it. You just want to be understanding of the part in the cycle that you're in, and so that you can position yourself accordingly for it. Like if we were back in the day, if we were back in the 50s and 60s, understanding and knowing what it is that we know now, think about it. You could have, like most households only had one income. Knowing that if you had another income, or if you were able to figure out a way to take that extra money that was enough to provide for the entire household, to be able to take that and deploy that into return on investment, instead of just being the common everyday dude for whatever. If you were to take that mindset at the time and have the mindset that you have today, right, but live in that time, think about how wonderful of an experience that you could have left for your children or your grandchildren. But you have to understand that the cycle at the time could not have you behaving like everybody else. You couldn't, if you were going to have the house and car and wife and kids and retirement and vacations and college tuitions and all that other stuff, you weren't going to have the same experience as if you had buckled down, saved all your money, put that into return on investment, so that today you'd have billions of dollars and this, huge family inheritance that you could just pass down from generation to generation, this generational wealth thing. Most people didn't take that opportunity like they could have. They didn't know to. They just knew to work, right? And that working was good, and working was going to work, and it did work. But now it don't work, and people say, well, you just need to go to work and make it work. And it's just like, it doesn't work like that. You got to go to work, and then you got to have another job to go to work to, and then you got to take those two jobs and make that work for you. Right? Much different time. There's no changing. You can't stop the Cantillon effect, and slowing it down I don't know if there's any benefit to that. Right? It's all about your understanding of where we are today and how it is that you can position yourself accordingly for it. That's really what it comes down to. What time is it? I gotta go here soon, guys. Yeah, I gotta go get my hair cut, and my battery's about ready to die anyway. But we got 253 people watching. I think this was a great live stream. We really dug into a lot of stuff here. I was just wanting to talk about side hustles and how it is that you can use your side hustle to basically outmaneuver everybody else that's around you, because you're competing against everybody who's doing the same thing you're doing. So do something different, do something more, and then you'll have more in your life than everybody else who's complaining about government being the problem, right? So I guess that's the moral of the story. Work hard, earn more, require less. All right, hit the like button. Thank you very much, Mr. Balloon Pimp. I really appreciate you being here tonight. You can almost spell communist with economist. Brendan Masters, that's not true. You can do it. You can do it all night long. Oh, yeah, side hustles. I just love all the people out there who are like, no, I just want to be able to do nothing and have all the wonderfulness of experiences of life just handed to me, and I don't want to have to work for it at all. Those are my favorite people. The more I hear those people out there, the more I love it, because it's the competition. That's your competition, is people out there saying government should do something. Oh, okay. Wait here. Wait for government to do something. I'll be right back, okay? That's your competition. Think about it. How many people are out there saying that sort of thing? I let them. I encourage them. Yeah, screw government. Yeah, go fight for social justice now. You go protest and hold your sign, whatever it is you're doing out there. I'm going to go make some money. See ya. Yeah, you just stay occupied doing that thing while I'm over here basically by myself. No one is going to save us, yeah. All right. I wonder if you could create a side hustle doing nothing. What does that look like? I think about it like really relaying information isn't doing anything. There's some people out there who really appreciate it because they don't have the time to go and look for some sort of service that is being provided by, spreading information. But for the most part, when you're relaying information, what are you doing? You're just talking. You're not really doing anything. All right? Just relaying, entertaining. Entertaining isn't really doing anything. It's work. It does engage, gets people's, takes them away from their life for just a minute so that they can enjoy the moment, enjoy the comedy or enjoy the intensity of the show or something of that nature, but you're not really doing anything. Of course, you're doing stuff. Everything is everything, all right? Everything you do. It doesn't matter what it is. Right? There is always something going on. Just to sit there and stare off into space, yeah, I guess, okay, maybe at that sense, you're probably not being very useful or productive. But if you add anything that is useful and productive into that, right, now you got an opportunity. All right. I respect the shit out of your perspective. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Sometimes I get a little sarcastic, but I think, I think you guys get it. I mean, I think you know when I'm being really serious and when I'm being, trying to just be funny. Um, but a lot of the times that we are out here, this is a serious matter. And for a lot of us, especially when you're struggling, young, if you were in a position like I was, you know how scary that I think, like, I look back at when I was 40 and I think, holy moly, man, how close I was to the edge, like a complete failure. It was just like, I look back and I'm like, man, I can't believe it was like right there, like right at the edge. But at the time, didn't feel that bad. Didn't feel it. I mean, I knew it was wrong and I knew I didn't like it and I knew I had to do something about it, but it didn't feel as scary as the way I look back on it and feel it. Right. And I think, being in that state of mind at the time, that frustration, the, disappointment, or just the loss of hope, that is, very deteriorating on everything, especially your motivation and stuff. So I try to encourage people to understand, like, no matter what your position is in life, no matter what's happened, today's a new day and tomorrow's a different day. Right. And you don't have to own the problems of your past in a way that this is my life today. Like, you don't have to say, hey man, I got to carry this and show how horrible of an event that I was going through in order to have this be my life going into the future. Just let it go. Right? I mean, you learn lessons from it. Don't let it go to the point that you don't remember it. Learn the lessons from it, but let it go. It doesn't identify you. Today is a new day. Right? When I was 40 years old, I wasn't a public speaker. I wasn't a YouTube guy. I wasn't an entertainer. I wasn't paying my bills. I wasn't doing all this other stuff. I'm completely different today. I do all the different things than I had ever done because today's a different day than I was from the past. Today's a new day. Every day's a new day. Right? And just like anything else out there, if you want to dance, you got to get out on the dance floor for the first time. If you've never done it before, there's going to have to be a first. And it's not going to be pretty. Right? And you just know it's not. Get out there and get it done and get the first over with. And once you got the first one done, then the second one's probably not going to be pretty either, but it's going to be a little bit better because you learned something from the first one. And this is how life goes on. All right, uneducated economist, you guys let me know.